The New York Post are releasing articles that are getting locked down and banned by social media. These articles are potentially damaging to Joe Biden, so both Twitter and Facebook are making sure that you won't see them. This is the first time that social media are so openly banning mainstream news articles. And I mean literally, outside of Fox News, I can't find them almost anywhere in the US. So what's going on, and what information within these news articles is so bad that it must be censored to the public? In today's video, we're going to find out. My name is Soren and welcome to the channel. Alright, so at this point it's probably not news to you that the social media platforms are leaning towards the left in terms of politics, but it is news that they would outright ban mainstream news articles from being shared on their platforms. Outside of Fox News, I had to go to foreign newspapers like the BBC to get an insight into what this issue is all about, and that tells you something about how effective the shutdown of this article has been. Now, in fact, it's gotten so bad that major GOP politicians and conservatives in general are being shut down for daring to share this very dangerous information from a mainstream news publication. Yesterday, the latest victim of this banning was actually legitimately the official Trump campaign 2020 Twitter account. It got shut down for sharing one of these New York Post links. And just to those of you guys who don't know what I'm talking about, the New York Post are releasing these articles that are allegedly showing the connections between Hunter Biden and Chinese and Ukrainian companies, where allegedly Hunter Biden is using his influence to gain money for both Hunter and Joe Biden. So tough allegations indeed. Some of them new, some of them tying into previous reporting. So let's dive right into what this BBC headline and article has to say about the story. Twitter and Facebook's actions over Joe Biden articles reignite bias claims. It reads, the way Twitter communicated its handling of a controversial article about US presidential hopeful Joe Biden was unacceptable, its chief has said. On Wednesday, Twitter prevented people from posting links to a New York Post story, warning those trying to click it that this link was potentially unsafe. It only later explained it had limited sharing because the story contained hacked materials. Facebook also took action limiting the report's distribution in its news feed. It said it had done this as part of a standard process to give third-party fact-checkers time to review the content and decide if it should be treated as misinformation. However, it is highly unusual for an article published by one of the mainstream popular newspapers to be treated in this way. Alright, so the article here is saying that the CEO of Twitter admitted that the handling was problematic, but let's just pull up what Jack Dorsey actually said to get things straight. He said, our communication around our actions on the New York Post article was not great, and blocking URL sharing via Twitter or DM with zero context is as to why we're blocking unacceptable. So he's not saying that the banning itself was unacceptable. He's saying that it lacked context as to why Twitter decided to do so. Twitter did say in the beginning that they banned these articles because they potentially contained disinformation. But now they're saying that they are banning them because they contain hacked materials. Which is weird because I see on social media like Facebook and Twitter, I see unidentified information or potentially misinformation and hacked material all the time that doesn't get banned, but this sure did. Trey Gowdy, a former congressman, made this exact point as well. Take a look.
So when you watch the other networks, they didn't even cover the story. Twitter blocked it. Facebook blocked it. The information's not out there unless you're watching us.
Yeah, well, the Senate Republicans should bring Jack Dorsey's, let's go with behind, before the Senate and ask him, what is your policy and how did it apply to this story? There's tons of stuff I see on Twitter and Facebook that has zero reliability and authenticity. This is a story from a major newspaper, and you're blocking access to it. That means you're an editor. That just means you're like Mother Jones. You're not a real platform. You're just another liberal editor. The Senate Republicans need to ask Jack Dorsey, what is your policy so we can decide whether or not we're going to start regulating this?
As Trey Gowdy indirectly says here, social media platforms have an exemption from being prosecuted because they don't interfere with what people post on their platforms, so they can't be held responsible for what people post. But more and more over the last 3 or 4 years, that's begun to change. But before we get more into that, let's finish up this article about what was actually in the New York Post articles. So it goes on to say, the article focused on an email from April 2015 in which an advisor from a Ukrainian energy company apparently thanked Hunter Biden for inviting him to meet Joe Biden in Washington. It did not provide evidence that the meeting ever took place, and the Biden election campaign says it did not. Hunter Biden joined the board of directors of the energy company in 2014 while his father was US vice president. He stepped down from the company in 2019. We have reviewed Joe Biden's official schedules from the time, and no meeting as alleged by the New York Post ever took place, it said. So as this article is saying, the Joe Biden campaign is denying that the meeting took place, but they're not actually denying that the leaked material actually is real. So in other words, they're talking about how someone got a hold on this information, not whether or not the pictures and the emails within the leaked material is false. So you might be wondering how this information got into the hands of the media and how at the same time it got into the hands of the lawyer of President Trump, Giuliani. And that's a fair question. This article from Business Insider dives right into that. Let's read what it has to say. The Post's report said an unidentified computer repair shop owner discovered the emails and other compromising materials about Hunter Biden after an unidentified person dropped off a water-damaged laptop last year to be repaired but never picked it up. Then the computer repair shop owner then hands on the information to the media and to Giuliani, supposedly, and then here we are. But to me, it doesn't really matter how someone got a hold on this information. What matters to me is if the information itself is true or not. We're going to read this article from the New York Post that's actually banned from social media. But before we do, I do want to say that what makes me think that this information at the very least is real is that it's not only emails, it's also pictures from this laptop supposedly belonging to Hunter Biden. It's also pictures of him taken clearly from a webcam, and there's a bunch of documents that goes along with it. But I won't tell you what to think. You'll make up your own mind as we read this article. Smoking gun email reveals how Hunter Biden introduced Ukrainian businessman to Vice President dad. Hunter Biden introduced his father, then Vice President Joe Biden, to a top executive at a Ukrainian energy firm less than a year before the elder Biden pressured government officials in Ukraine into firing a prosecutor who was investigating the company, according to emails obtained by the Post. So there's a video clip of this very thing that they're talking about. This isn't some conspiracy theory. This is very well documented that Biden actually did pressure them into firing this prosecutor who was going after the company where his son Hunter Biden is now on the board. So take a look at this.
I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid.
All right, so that's very well documented. But now we're getting into the part of the article that's not that well documented. The never before revealed meeting is mentioned in a message of appreciation that Vadim Poshasky, an advisor to the board of Burisma, allegedly sent Hunter Biden on April 17, 2015, about a year after Hunter joined the Burisma board at a reported salary of up to $50,000 a month. Dear Hunter, thank you for inviting me to DC and giving an opportunity to meet your father and spend some time together. It's really an honor and pleasure, the email reads. An earlier email from May 2014 also shows Poshasky, reportedly Burisma's number 3 exec, asking Hunter for advice on how you could use your influence on the company's behalf. So obviously we're talking about influence peddling here. And there's no one contesting that Hunter did have these jobs on the boards of these energy companies. He had multiple ones, and according to the New York Post, he had one in Ukraine, but he also had one in China. Take a look at this. In addition, the email outlined a provisional agreement under which 80% of the equity or shares in the new company would be split equally among 4 people whose initials correspond to the sender and 3 recipients, with H apparently referring to Biden, Hunter Biden. So this picture goes into the details of the deal, which highlights how they are dividing the equity of this company, with 80% going to 4 people, and then 10% is held by Hunter for the big guy. So obviously this article is drawing the conclusion that the big guy is Joe Biden, that Joe Biden is getting 10% of this deal on top of it. So this is all of it is based on the New York Post and these pictures and everything that was found on this laptop being real. And you, as I said before, you be the judge whether or not this is real. The most recent development in this story is that Twitter locked down the official Trump campaign account on Twitter. They didn't just ban the information, ban the article, they actually locked down the Twitter account of the official Trump campaign, which is pretty crazy. The reason this is important is that it looks really, really bad. It looks like Twitter is taking a stance on one side, that they're protecting one candidate, and at the same time they're punishing the other candidate's account for spreading that information. Whether it's true or not, it looks really bad. Keep in mind that the information has not been denied by anyone in terms of the pictures, the documents, and the emails within the New York Post articles. The only thing that's being denied by the Biden campaign is that the meeting actually took place. They say it didn't, but we only know about that meeting because of these New York Post articles. So since the official Trump campaign account was shut down by Twitter, Trump is firing back. He's saying that these social media platforms shouldn't have these exemptions from prosecution that they have right now if they begin to interfere with people's free speech on social media platforms. Remember that back in May, Trump signed this executive order against these social media platforms, censoring free speech of their users. But I just want to say that there's something more important going on here than this battle between Trump and Twitter and Facebook and all of this. The bigger and more important issue here is that these big tech companies are censoring viewpoints they don't agree with. Sometimes they call it misinformation and sometimes they call it leaked information, and they say that's why they censor it. But you have a feeling that it's almost always when the viewpoint goes against what they believe in, and what they believe in is very unified in Silicon Valley. It's very important that we prevent these big tech companies from censoring viewpoints they don't agree with. You might think it's fine now because you disagree with a politician or you disagree with a viewpoint, but be sure that if it comes for the people you disagree with, it will come for you sooner or later. Please share this video to create more awareness about this whole situation, because I have a feeling, because of what we talk about in the video, that this video won't reach out to that many people that it otherwise would have. And subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed the video and you think I'm doing a good job. Or let's just say decent, because let's be honest, here. I'm looking forward to hearing your opinions on this very issue in the comment section below. Until then, guys, have a great weekend. God bless.